This is Working for Progress, a podcast that connects us through conversations about how we craft our working lives and make progress. We'll be joined by our communities from Tribe 40 and Keystone. Tribe 40 is a community co-working space and creative hub. We are full of entrepreneurs, social enterprises, freelancers, charities, and SMEs. Keystone is the other social enterprise which supports women to reimagine their working lives. We do this by providing a holistic approach to business through courses, programs, mentoring, group coaching, and events.
Welcome to today's conversation. I'm Alice, the community manager at Tribe 40.
And I'm Dani, founder and director of both Tribe 40 and Keystone.
Here at Working for Progress, we're all about connecting good people, sharing their stories, their challenges, and the progress they make for themselves and for others. We hope this podcast challenges your ways of thinking and inspires you to work for progress.
Working for Progress starts with simple pleasures, finishes in awe, and meanders through career journeys in between.
Today we welcome Rachel Mays. Rachel is a freelance consultant servicing clients across the UK, Europe and USA. She also works with brand marketers to run effective agency selection processes. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you for joining us, Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely to have you here. We're going to start out nice and easy. We would love to know your 5 simple pleasures.
5 simple pleasures. Ooh, 5 simple pleasures. Tulips. Is that simple?
Oh,
Is that
simple?
Love it.
Yeah, tulips. Trees. Riding a bicycle. Talking to my mom. Sitting in the sunshine.
Nice. That sounds great.
I say them out loud though. They don't seem very simple. They seem kind of miraculous, actually.
Oh, that's even
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the point in the question.
Sleeping. There's one.
Ooh,
a simple
yeah.
one and probably my greatest pleasure.
I do quite like how they're starting to feel quite seasonal though.
I know,
Where
I
we're
was just
coming
gonna
into the
say.
warmer weather and now we're
yeah.
getting things like bike rides come up, sitting in the
Sunshine.
sun, flowers.
In the winter,
Yeah.
was it
Whereas
a
before
quilt
it was-
and a hot cocoa?
Yeah, and hot coffee and things like that.
That's hilarious, of course. Yeah, pleasure would be absolutely linked to season, wouldn't it?
I mean, we're seasonal creatures. We
Yep.
just deny it for some reason a lot of the time.
Yeah, yeah. Who was it?
Under lights and inside.
When you had someone in, it was in the winter time and he came in upstairs, he was looking at the insulation and we said, yeah, it is a bit cold up here. And he just looked at all of us. And you were standing there too, Dani. And he looked at us and he goes, sometimes it's good to be cold. And then just walked off.
Okay, we would love to hear about the values that you live by. Do you have
Okay.
any core values?
Yeah. I don't really know, this is embarrassing, what the definition of a value is.
No rules.
But I would say be honest or honesty, I guess if it needs to be not a verb. Be honest, work hard, and have fun.
Nice. And do you implement those 3 things into your working life?
Definitely.
How do you do that?
Well, I think honesty, can be a real superpower actually at work, especially if you can figure out how to deliver honesty in a way that is disarming and perhaps maybe a bit charming even. You can really get actually quite a lot done. And so if you're able to make observations and then able to turn those around and deliver them in a kind of honest way, I think that is a huge superpower and something that most people are perhaps a bit apprehensive to do, because obviously sometimes it holding up a mirror can be a bit hard. And then hard work, it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? Because there's a moment I think, do I have to work so hard? Because obviously you can work so hard that it can be, I think, a bad thing. But at the end of the day, I think no matter what you pursue, you do have to, there's always going to be some kind of challenge if you're really kind of stretching or pushing yourself and learning. There's always going to be some challenge that you're going to have to work through, and it does take some hard work and perseverance, I think, to do your job.
And that, sorry.
Yeah, please.
And that hard work, is that an American influencey thing?
I think all these things are from family, really.
Yeah.
I suppose to back up a bit, I lived 8 years in Amsterdam, and so the honesty thing is something that I learned very much so through working and living in the Netherlands.
That's cool.
And having grown up in the Midwest of America, which is very passive aggressive, I thought the Dutch hated me for the first year that I lived there because they are quite blunt and they tell you what they think. And I found that, though, eventually to be quite liberating, and to always know where you stand. And to not have people hold grudges against you, to just say stuff and be honest and not have to take offense to things. It was extremely refreshing once I understood that it wasn't personal. And then hard work, definitely. It's like Protestant work ethic from the Midwest family. Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, my Aunt Robin used to say, "You're a maze and never forget it." You know, like you've got, you put your name on everything, hard work, these are important things and important values. And so, yeah, definitely hard work. And then have fun. I don't know. I feel like that's one I've kind of made up along the way, right?
Well, it's when you balance the hard work and have fun.
Yeah.
Can you do both?
Oh, absolutely. We spend so much time at work. If we're not having fun, what are we doing? It's just, life's too short, right?
Absolutely.
So, and I think people that own businesses and employ people have to think about that as well. It's just life's too short, I think, to just make it a rat race the whole time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Do you talk about that overtly when you're communicating who you are and how you work, or is it just kind of your DNA and it's just the approach that you take in your work?
It's the approach that I take. Yeah. I've never been one, I think, because having worked most of my career in the creative industry, we're not really ones to kind of plaster values across walls.
Yeah.
And there's something about corporate America that really enjoys doing that. And then if you walk through the halls of any kindergarten in America, you'll notice a lot of values also plastered on walls. And I just don't know why we still need to do that as adults.
That's so funny. I think I don't know that. I didn't know that. Maybe because I haven't been there for so long.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting that a lot of people here don't talk about their values in their work. So that's interesting. The opposite end of that is the kind of tokenistic, I'm going to present it but not necessarily live by it.
Got it. I think when you employ people, which I don't, but I think when you employ people and the bigger you get, I think the more that you have to talk about those values and what is not necessarily how you expect everyone to fall in line, but what was in your heart when you started the company, and therefore what is important in order to kind of retain the essence of it as it grows and changes. And
true.
But there is just that poster out here that says work hard and be nice to people, which are, I suppose, in some way kind of values. And that's well designed, and so that, I suppose, it's more forgiving when it's not just some shitty font unlaminated white.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
I like that poster a lot.
Yes, and someone gave that to me, and I do like the principle of it. I'm like you though, and I sometimes wrestle with that constant work hard mentality and giving myself a break sometimes as well. But fundamentally I believe in it.
Yeah, maybe it's not work hard. Maybe it's just take pride in what you do. Maybe is a better way to spin it, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't cracked that one yet either. And I love that you asked the question, because I think we, why is that? Where does that come from? Because I think we always have to be questioning these things, don't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. We keep understanding ourselves deeper and deeper.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I suppose, 5 years ago, not that long ago, that even... And in a sense, I suppose, in places like New York and LA and even a bit London, where you're expected to work a lot and work hard. And that's not, I think there becomes a point where it becomes unhealthy, and that's not the kind of work hard that I'm referring to.
Yeah, good. And I think it's good to make that distinction, isn't it?
Yeah.
When we talk about it.
Yeah.
Especially if younger people, we kind of have younger people in our minds, hopefully will listen to this. Kind of just the kind of journeys of work, and when you're 18, 19 and you're just starting out, you don't know where you're going to go, and to get rid of this idea that there's one right way and that you're going to be there, or one, you don't want to make a mistake. It's actually just about all the experiences.
Oh my God, it's just the journey, isn't it?
Journey,
yeah. Absolutely.
On that note, what's your worst or most random job that you've ever had?
Worst or most random? I've been really lucky that I've never had a bad job.
What?
I know. I mean, let me rephrase that. I've never had a bad boss. I've never had a gaslighter. I've never had a bully. I've never had anyone that makes me feel like shit about myself. I know,
that is a good way of reframing it, actually.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So in that way, I don't think I've ever really had a bad job. I have had some random jobs.
Okay. Let's hear about a random job.
The most random probably is the time that I was hired by the local airport in Jefferson City, Missouri, to organize screws, nuts, and bolts in this
literal screws, nuts, and bolts.
Literally in this ginormous warehouse of shelves that you would pull out a drawer and there would be screws, nuts, and bolts in it. And my job was to go through and make sure that there were no screws, nuts, or bolts that were out of place and in the wrong box.
It sounds like a purgatory kind of thing.
How old were you?
I was, I would have been 18.
Did you have a good Sony Walkman at least?
Yeah, what did we have at that age, at that time? I don't remember what I had. I really don't. I was broke. I was just back from Australia. I had spent my life savings. And I needed to make my way to the West Coast, and so I needed some money. And my brother is a pilot, and he worked in the local airport. And I don't know if they took pity on me or if they really needed this job done.
It sounds like a prank that your brother set up.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
How long were you there?
3 months for a summer.
Short-lived.
Enough to get gas money, basically.
Is there something that you took away from that job just because it was quite a unique experience? Is it just a means to an end?
Means to an end. Yeah. And I suppose, it crosses your mind that I think a robot could be way more effective at this job than I could. Quicker, probably less air. Yeah.
How about your biggest risk you've taken in terms of your working life?
Biggest risk I've taken. I don't necessarily measure my career by risks, which I suppose is quite a privileged spot to be in. I measure it more by opportunity. So I suppose there are some kind of milestones or crossroads in my career where big decisions have been taken and where I've pivoted. But I've always looked at that more from what's the opportunity more so than what the risk is. In my daily existence, like where are we going to lunch is probably the biggest. Not getting that wrong.
You're a freelancer, yes?
Yes.
And how long have you been a freelancer?
For 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
What about taking that leap from employment to freelancing?
Yeah, huge leap. I originally did it because I left a career in Amsterdam that I loved. And so I thought I'll do this because I'm moving to Edinburgh and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'll do this until I land somewhere and freelance somewhere that I absolutely love. And then I'll talk my way into getting in the door and staying there. And then it turns out that I really, really enjoy freelancing and being, going my own way and talking about, it gives you permission to be honest and in a way that only an outsider can be. And because you're not trying to climb the ladder at an agency or at a brand, you're just there to get the job done. And so that means, in order to do that, it means having, really hard conversations and kind of having them quicker or bringing them to the surface quicker than, an agency or a business might want to. And you always do it and they always know it, of course. But it really takes an outsider to say, yeah, but this is really important that we solve this. And yeah, no, like really important, So I think that permission to be honest has been really interesting. And I feel like you're able to accomplish more, but if you're able to do it in a way that doesn't kind of step on, throw people under the bus or feel like you're trying to kind of climb up higher than them, and in a way that kind of just puts everyone's defenses down just a little bit more, which is needed. So was it a risk moving into that career? Yeah, definitely. But again, the opportunity just felt a lot bigger than the risk.
Yeah, I think that says a lot more about your mindset than the actual... Yeah, it was a risk, obviously, because it's a financial risk. You don't have the security. Yeah. But you were focusing on the opportunities you'd be missing if you didn't take that risk. So therefore, the opportunities were at the forefront rather than feeling like it was a big, scary risk.
Yeah, and the financial thing is a big one when you decide to go out on your own. And having worked at the same creative agency for nearly a decade, I didn't exactly know what my value was when I was there, but when you leave, you really have to figure that out, because you need to figure out what you kind of know so that people will pay you for it. Yeah. So figuring out that value is really exciting, and I'm just very lucky that my partner is a consultant, like a real consultant that like wears a suit and he helped me to understand the worth of my value. Financially, the worth of my value. I was kind of ready to start working for free, just to kind of test the market. And so, I'm lucky enough to have a partner that wasn't going to allow that to happen
and had experience in that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, but also could look at me and say, no, you're worth way more than that. And that was incredibly helpful. So that helped me take that risk and again turn it into, well, yeah, I mean, if I look at it like that, then it is a huge financial opportunity.
What took you to Amsterdam?
My work did. So I worked for an agency in Portland, Oregon, and they have 8 offices around the world. It's an independently owned creative agency, and one of those offices is Amsterdam. And so I was working on Nike and Procter & Gamble account there in Portland, but I had always said I wanted to go to another office. And I was just really lucky that they said, well, figure that out then moved to Amsterdam to help the what was a much smaller office than Portland set up their PR and new business department while still working a bit in account management. But also very lucky that it was a kind of place that just looks at people and sees their potential and then and is a big believer in people figuring things out and not the last thing they wanted was to hire someone that knew everything there was to know about new business and PR that would then come in and say, this is exactly how you do it. Yeah. What they wanted are people that kind of make their own way and figure it out.
And how long have you been in Edinburgh?
4 years.
4 years. And you decided to make that journey over.
Yeah. So my partner and I decided to do it. We wanted to live closer to mountains. And Amsterdam, that was the one thing it doesn't have.
It's pretty flat
cycling, but yeah.
Amazing cycling. Not a lot of mountains. And Scotland, of course, is an embarrassment of riches when it comes to getting out and hiking and being in the wild. And yeah, so that's why we did it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how critical was your partner at that time when you jump shipped and started your own business, someone helping you with finding your value and your pricing and maybe other support, I don't know, in terms of setting up a new business? Did you get help elsewhere as well?
I got an accountant.
Okay.
So that was extremely helpful, I would say.
Yeah.
Because talk to me about taxes talk to me about my death. Just kind of started figuring it out, and then
you didn't have a network here as such in terms of getting clients, so
no,
clearly you've done something really well. And
yeah, so I suppose you just have to be willing to be vulnerable and put yourself out there and introduce yourself and it's taken also a good 4 years to figure out what exactly it is that I want to be doing. That takes a lot of time, and I think like any small business, your first 5 years, and I work with a lot of agencies that are in their first 5 years, and you're really just trying to figure out what it is that you're doing. Taxes and employing people and culture and oftentimes new businesses, the very last thing that people think about. But actually it's something you kind of always have to be slightly massaging and churning in the background. And then I have, a community of people and particularly women that I worked with at Wieden and Kennedy that have been instrumental in that I've kept in touch with, and I feel like I could pick up the phone to and ask questions to, and they wouldn't necessarily don't be able to answer questions when it comes to like running the day-to-day of a business. But if I have questions on soundboarding things or pricing one of my services or offers, or they'd be super helpful. That's and good. That kind of thing.
I was hoping you would say that, because I just feel like having a network of trusted people that you can bounce ideas off when you're starting things out. You know, what's this sound like? I'm thinking about this name. I'm thinking about doing this. And they know you as a kind of person, but also as a business woman, and having that kind of sounding board is really useful.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need to talk out loud, don't you?
Yeah. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm saying that now. It makes a lot more sense. I'm saying that out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're starting out, you don't necessarily have a lot of money to hire specialists and experts. Yeah. So you're kind of need to formulate briefs to give to no one.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Yes. So actually talking stuff through helps you to formulate the brief in your head. And I think it is important to have that brief so you can kind of stay focused and understand what it is you're trying to do and achieve, and you know.
Yeah. And it's, for some reason, it's harder to do on yourself. You could go in and be like, this is your brand, this is your strapline, this is your values and your mission, and that's all very clear, and do this, and this is your PR and your marketing. But you look at yourself, you're like, oh crap, I don't have a website.
Oh, we are our worst. We're our worst right? clients. Communications industry, creative industry, we're always our worst clients. I'm my worst. I never take any of the new business advice I give to other people ever. It's because we're so navel gazing. That's why. That's the problem. It's such a navel gazing process when actually it shouldn't be. You should be thinking about your customer.
Yes.
And that helps to kind of cut through a lot of the crap, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Would love to hear the times or a time where you felt in awe or in flow.
Do my taxes now. Joking.
Wow.
In my flow state. I wish. I would say the last time I went up to Glenfeshie. Have you ever been to Glenfeshie? Yeah. So for anyone listening that hasn't been to Glenfeshie, it's it's in the Cairngorms. It's an estate in the Cairngorms, and it's a valley or glen in one of the most beautiful parts of Scotland. And the owners of the estate are, for lack of a better word, rewilding the estates. But they have these old Scots pines on their property. And the first time I was ever really introduced to a Scots pine was at Glenfeshie. And the Scots pines that they have there, I don't know how old they're, 200 years old, 300, no idea. But they have this kind of grandmother vibe, and they're really sort of eccentric and slightly, basically they don't grow like Scots pines, which is, I just thought all Scots pines were majestic like this and kind of awkward and wonderful. But it turns out that Scots pines actually grow very straight. And they used to be used during the Industrial Revolution and Victorian ages for infrastructure because they grew so straight and strong. Yeah. And the ones that are at Glenfeshie that are the really old 200, 300 years old ones were what they had determined were, at the time when they were probably quite young, Scots pines were what they called the rejected ones because they weren't growing straight and tall. So for so long, I thought Scots pines were these these trees that didn't grow straight and tall, that they grew sort of deformed and majestic and just had this kind of character. But in actuality, that is just the ones at Glenfeshie because they were sort of saved in a way because nobody wanted them because they weren't growing like straight and tall. Anyway, sitting under one of those Scots pines is a state of awe for sure. It is so like anything you've never experienced before, and just because of the way in which they're treating the estate, the kind of undergrowth also that's happening underneath these pines, and the kind of the little micro things that are happening all around you when you sit under one of them. It's almost like you can just feel the vibrations, and I'm not even on mushrooms. Do you know what I mean? But it is a state of awe. They are absolutely incredible, these old trees, and it is just a wonderful thing in Scotland to be able to roam across any land and sit under them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel connected to something ancient, or what's the...
Definitely connected to something ancient, but connected to something that you just you never see old. Well, so Glenfeshie I don't think is old growth. You wouldn't consider it an old growth forest or old growth wood because they're regenerating it, right? There's not a ton of those old grandfather trees, right? And if you think about really old growth forests, there's not really that many left in the world. But when you sit under one of these trees, as you would if you sat under an oak that was 200 or 300 years old, they support so much life around them, and we just as humans never have that experience anymore of sitting under these trees. They just don't survive, right? And especially in this kind of forested or wooded way, you might see one lone oak tree in a city, but you never see it kind of in the surrounding of a place that's sort of being taken care of. Yeah. And that's really, really, really special. So I think it's more that than anything ancient, but certainly sitting under them, you get the sense of like stories. Yeah. I imagine all the travelers that sat under them, before
even
paved
them
roads.
Talking to each other, I find
absolutely
that amazing. Like just so interconnected with everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really special, and imagine all the people that live in cities that will never experience that. I mean, it is more unique than than anything else in the world, I would say now, because there's just so little of it left.
Something quite melancholic about it, isn't there?
Yeah, it's just otherworldly, and
no, it's special, isn't it?
Yeah,
trees are special.
Yeah.
And is there anything you can tell us about your work at the moment? Is there anything exciting going on? Anything you're...
Yeah. So I'm so at the moment I've been now doing Ray Mays is the name of my company for 4 years. And so now I'm at that point where I'm figuring out, I was just kind of trying to stay afloat for the first 4 years, and now I'm in a place where I've said, okay, I want to continue to do this. I'm no longer looking to move in house. So what does that mean then, And I'm looking at how I position myself in the market. I'm looking at working not only with creative agencies, but working more with brand marketers that need creative agencies, and then thinking about how do I make that shift then? What does that mean over the next 4 or 5 years? What is that, what's the plan? What do I need to create? What needs to change? And then you kind of go back to square one. As you said, you start reaching out to people. Is this making sense? And so yeah, I don't know. Back to square one, I guess.
It's funny how we've asked the question before on this. What's your sort of 5-year plan, your 10-year plan? And a lot of people have been quite hesitant about it and been like, oh, I don't really think like that. But actually, for yourself, that's quite integral to where you are now. Yeah, is that thinking ahead and planning out? And...
I think so. I hate Facebook, but I once had a boss who said to me, when I said, well, let's look at it across the next 2 years. I don't remember what we were talking about, some sort of plan for something. And he said, well, I think we should look at 6 months and 6 years. And I said, well, that's awfully odd. And he said, that's how Facebook does it. That's like in Zuckerberg's playbook or whatever, is that they think of intervals in 6 months and 6 years. And that was life-changing for me, because I realized in that moment I had thought of everything in 2-year chunks. And it was so hard to execute anything, but because 2 years is kind of in a way just around the corner, and it's so easy to sort of put off and say, well, I'll think about it in 2 years' time. But actually you do need that 6-month time frame to action stuff. Yeah.
I've got an accountability group, and we do things like 6 weeks and then kind of your 5-year plan. So similar. Yeah. But like, what's the now? And then, that helps you figure that out. If you've looked at where you really want to go, then you can work backwards in a sense, in a way. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Thanks very much. Thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you. Yeah, great. Thanks so much.
Thank you to Rachel for joining us today. To hear more about Tribe Porty and Keystone, you can find us on all social media platforms. Please head over to our website and subscribe to our newsletters, which includes monthly blogs to provide helpful insights into how we craft our working lives. This has been Working for Progress. We hope you join us again.